Yo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. Monday Night Raw decided to go big in a big way and have Big E cash in the Money in the Bank contract, and there was absolutely nothing exciting about it except for the actual moment itself. We are talking about Monday Night Raw last night, and it was all I can do to keep my eyes open as I struggled and struggled as WWE waited and teased 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 Big E cashing in the Money in the Bank. They've been talking about it all day because Big E went out on Twitter himself and he put it out there. He said, I'm cashing in. I intend to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase tonight. And then Monday Night Raw decides to take any amount of excitement, any amount of anticipation, and milk it from you for all it's worth. And they dragged you through 3 hours of typical Monday Night Raw, meaningless, worthless match after meaningless, worthless match. Does the in-ring action matter if you don't give a shit about the contents surrounding what the reasoning behind the match is at all? No. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the WWE. It doesn't matter to the people that write this show. Nothing needs to make sense. We're just going to take a bunch of shit. We're going to throw it at the wall, and we're going to see what sticks. And if anything points to the fact that the WWE is feeling the heat, it is definitely the move that they made tonight. Let's just take a look at what was supposed to happen tonight. We were supposed to have a tag team championship matchup. Almighty champion of the world, Bobby Lashley, and MVP were supposed to take on the world tag team champions, RK Bro, Matt Riddle, and Randy Orton. And that was just scrapped. That was just scrapped for absolutely no reason. They decided to give Randy Orton a solo opportunity at the WWE Championship. And do you know what the reasoning was? Randy Orton gave a great reason. He said, I am going to have this match with Bobby Lashley here tonight because the last time we wrestled was 14 years ago. I'm Randy Orton. I don't need a real reason. And, I've waited all this time. I might not wait until the pay-per-view. Let's just get it over with. Let's get it out of the way. What? What? The reasoning behind this was just as lame as the majority of Monday Night Raw. So now we all knew Big E intends to cash in the championship. He starts off Monday Night Raw right off the bat, eliminating any element of surprise that was left. Big E can say anything he wants. But the minute Monday Night Raw opens with Big E, who is a SmackDown roster superstar, he teased coming to Monday Night Raw Friday in Madison Square Garden. When I was at Madison Square Garden, Big E said, I'm going to go to Raw. What reason would he have to come to Raw if not to just hang out and party with the New Day? He's going to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase. And the one thing that they think they're cute, right? They think they're clever. They said, let's address this right now. Let's address it right off the bat at the start of the show. And MVP and Bobby Lashley are out there with Randy Orton and Matt Riddle and Big E, who's walking around just salivating and chomping at the bit with the Money in the Bank briefcase in his hand. We all know what's going to happen. And this opening segment made you believe that Big E was going to cash right off the bat, kick off Monday Night Raw, and then, maybe change, maybe do something. Because the opening segment, as out of left field as it was, it came off pretty good. MVP was accusing Big E of coming to Monday Night Raw and challenging Bobby Lashley because he's afraid of Roman Reigns. He's afraid of Brock Lesnar and what's going on SmackDown. And there's a modicum of truth to that, and not because Big E is afraid, but because the WWE is afraid. They gave Big E the Money in the Bank briefcase while he was on SmackDown, And meanwhile, the main event scene surrounding the Universal Championship doesn't have anything to do with Big E. Right? You got Finn Balor coming back as the Demon. He's going to be facing Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules coming up at the next pay-per-view. And then he's got Brock Lesnar in his sights. What are they going to do with Big E? If they're not going to go with it now and make him cash in now, then what are they going to do? Continue to have him fussing around in the SmackDown mid-card, going after the Intercontinental Championship, watching him wrestle over and over again with Apollo Crews and that whole crew of SmackDown jobbers? No, this was a good move. This was the right move. This was just not the time to really do this move. And it just was so lazily booked and so hastily thrown together and thrown at us that it really makes absolutely no sense. If you look at it, it makes no sense. They had a complete different show planned, and they changed gears, card subject to change. That's WWE's favorite little clause at every event. And they take liberties with that, and they do something like give us a random World Championship match with Bobby Lashley and Randy Orton that only exists so that at the end of the night, Big E can cash in. It's just lazy. And of course, they teased it all night long. They teased it so bad that I thought by the end of the night that it wasn't going to happen. I thought Big E was going to end up getting jumped or something like that, and we weren't going to have the cash in tonight. But they really booked themselves into a corner, and by advertising and teasing it so hard, they almost had no choice. If they would have walked out of the arena tonight and not have had this moment happen for Big E, I think the universe would be imploding in and of itself right now. It's in on itself, not in and of itself. But you do understand what I'm saying. It's almost like a no-win situation, because here we have a great moment for Big E, something I'm very proud of him for. He deserves this moment. He should have had this moment like maybe at least 2 times over already. And here we are. And it's just a little bittersweet to me. I've wanted Big E to be the number 1 guy in the company. I wanted him to be a world heavyweight champion. And here we are. We finally got here. It's a fantastic moment. I'm super happy. I think it's great. But the way they went about it, as the WWE does, was just lazy. It was uninspired. And it really just comes off as desperate. The WWE just looks silly here. It really does, because you can't hide the fact that they're doing things to try to get people talking, right? They're trying to get the momentum back in their, back on their side of the equation, because AEW is really starting to pick up steam. And you'd be a fool not to believe it. And it's only going to get worse. And they're starting to feel the heat. They needed to shake things up. And they didn't want to wait for the draft in a couple of weeks. They wanted to do something big. They wanted to have people talking about Monday Night Raw. And one of the best ways they can do that is take a deserving and awesome pro wrestler like Big E and make him the world champion. I just think his title reign and his Money in the Bank cash in deserved a lot more respect than a spontaneous booking of Monday Night Raw out of nowhere. And then to make things worse, you made us wait all night. And then when Big E comes out at the end of the night, after Bobby Lashley defeats Randy Orton in the main event, the crowd is at a fever pitch. And Big E's music hits. And out he comes. And they went to commercial. How do you think the millions of people watching at home felt in that moment? Oh my God, we've waited all night. We've talked about it all night. We've been hearing about it all day. Here it is. We're finally at the moment. We're finally all excited. And how can they ruin it? How could they suck the life out of it? They're going to go and send it to commercial. And after I've experienced what I experienced on SmackDown, which if you don't know what that was about, you could check the SmackDown review, which is on this channel right now when we're done blasting off live here, bringing the hammer down on Raw. That must have been really awkward for the crowd because Big E must have came out and then everybody had a freeze, right? Everybody had a pause when they went to commercial. And then they had to come back in this moment where Big E's supposed to be cashing in the money in the bank. And it happened and it was over before you know it. And Big E defeated Bobby Lashley and he's now the WWE champion. I'm really, really happy for the guy. I really am. And I'm happy for Raw. Like, this is great for Raw to have Big E as their WWE champion. I just think it could have been done in a better fashion. Shouldn't Big E have shown up after Bobby Lashley, like, decimated and almost murdered the New Day single-handedly, one right after the other? They didn't play into any of that. They had a lot of story that they could have pulled off of to make this really feel like it made sense. But this just was like a wild card thing, right? Like, it just really came out of nowhere. They announced it, and now here it is. Now, I don't want to complain about it too much, but it really just shows a lack of effort on the WWE creative side of things. They just wanted to create a moment. They wanted to make something spark and get some people talking. They don't really care about what they did. They just wanted to do something. And this was like the only move they could possibly do. And it's good for the future for Big E. We're going to go back down the road of the New Day as now the three of them are on the same show again. It's only a matter of time probably before Woods and Xavier have the titles again. And I'm not opposed to any of that. I just need them to have some quality opponents, some meaningful storylines, not just this same old song and dance bullshit that we get on Monday Night Raw. And by same old song and dance bullshit, I'm talking about some of this other crap that we had to stomach, sit through, try our best to get through. Because right after the opening segment, which was pretty decent and they set the table pretty nicely, we got into a card that was nowhere near as nice. The one thing about the opening segment that I thought was kind of silly was the fact that Randy Orton, by the end of the confrontation between everybody involved in the main event, you had Randy out there with Riddle, you had MVP and Lashley, you had Big E out there. And before it was all done, Randy hits Lashley once again with the RKO, leaving him laying there. Big E's just sitting in the corner watching, and it almost felt like that should have been the moment right there. It just kind of looked stupid. It made Big E look stupid in that moment. Like, I know Randy had this match, but did he really give a shit? Like, why does he give a shit about Randy getting his match? Like, he should have struck and took the championship right then. And then maybe been like, screw Bobby Lashley, I'll fight you tonight, Randy Orton. And then you have Big E defend the title within a couple of hours of just winning it. Maybe have Bobby Lashley come out and get involved in some way towards the end to get some vengeance or something like that. Something a little more interesting. But be lucky with what you get, I guess. Then we had Charlotte Flair defeating Shayna Baszler in a championship contenders match. My new least favorite thing. Championship contenders match. It's like they're completely devoid of any creative ideas. There's a perfect world out there somewhere where Shayna Baszler is a villain, calling herself the Queen of Spades, and Charlotte Flair is a babyface champion, and we have Shayna Baszler and Charlotte Flair doing some great and amazing things. I wish I was in that universe, because we're in our universe, in our reality, on this earth, we have evil Charlotte Flair versus an evil Shayna Baszler. I think she's kind of in the middle of turning on Nia Jax, but she's also kind of still with Nia Jax, but not really, because they're breaking up, and then I don't know what to believe, because from one week to the next it changes. One week they're breaking up, one week they're semi back together, and then they're breaking up again. And now here tonight, Charlotte Flair defeats Shayna Baszler in the championship contenders match. So why bother calling it a championship contender match? To make Shayna Baszler look even worse? And oh my god, the distraction is what caused Shayna Baszler. Because Nia Jackson, her sideshow bob hairdo, had to come out and make faces. And Shayna Baszler cared about this, which allowed her to get hit with a big boot and then wrapped up for the pinfall. She didn't even tap out to the figure eight. She wasn't hit with a natural selection. She was just beat by a big boot from Charlotte. And this match would be a non-entity because this was really all about Alexa Bliss coming out, giving Charlotte Flair her own Lily doll. But it's not Lily, it was Charlie. It was a new doll that looked like Lily was cosplaying Charlotte Flair. And all of this was pretty cringy. Alexa versus Charlotte means nothing. Is Alexa supposed to be a babyface? Should the evil witch person who torments people be the babyface in this scenario? The crowd popped for Alexa Bliss, which is going to give Vince McMahon a hard-on and make him think he's making the right move here. But Alexa versus Charlotte just doesn't interest me. Not much about anything that has to do with Charlotte interests me. And Alexa, ever since she stole Bray Wyatt's gimmick, she didn't steal it, but you know what I'm saying. I just don't care. I want her to get to the next phase of her career and dismiss this doll bullshit. And now it looks like it's going to go even further than we could have imagined, because now she gave Charlotte a doll and Charlotte threw the doll in the trash, and this is all going to piss off Alexa Bliss. And Alexa's clearly the next one in line to challenge Charlotte for the Women's Championship. They had a minor back and forth, and it was not interesting. All it led to was a little altercation, and Alexa Bliss did a code red, which was a little sloppy looking, but it was weird to see her pull off the code red on Charlotte Flair, get the upper hand. And now we're going to have to go through this. And we'll see what happened. They talked about the draft coming October 1st to SmackDown, and it will complete on October 4th, Monday Night Raw, after the weekend. We had a 6-man tag team match with Drew McIntyre being teamed up with the Viking Raider, Warrior Raiders. Because, you know, they're all like Scottish or, you know, something. Vikings and Scottish people, I guess, are friends in Vince McMahon's mind. They could just randomly be thrown together with no meaning behind it whatsoever. And they're all supposedly from the other side of the pond, you know. So let's put them together. We're going to have them go up against Jinder Mahal and Schmear and Stanky. And what do you think happened? What do you think? I don't even understand why they bothered bringing Jinder Mahal back. Why they bothered bringing him up with these two new guys. I don't want to see Jinder Mahal. I don't care for Jinder Mahal because of the way that they booked this man relentlessly over the course of the last couple of years. But here they had an opportunity. They brought him back with a giant version of the Singh brothers. They could have made it interesting. They could have had a new and different tag team. Something interesting for the tag team division. Something very much like the Authors of Pain or something like that, but for Jinder Mahal. It could have made him good. It could have even made him cool if they would have wrote the character in a good way. But no, instead we just keep getting random matches. Jinder Mahal has now lost to Drew McIntyre for like 6 weeks in a row. And he's as big of a loser as we always assumed he was. So why is he still on this show? Send him back to catering. Send him back to main event. Tell him to take Schmear and Stanky with him, because I don't need more 6-man meaningless tag team matchups. This is accomplishing nothing. Drew keeps winning. Jinder keeps losing. How is this a feud? It's not. It's not. It's just a waste of time. It's filler. It's filler. After this, we had Big E in the back as the New Day reunited. He was in the back with Kofi and Xavier. They were all excited about tonight's cash-in. Big E said it was happening in Kofi Kingston's hometown, and Kofi Kingston was all excited about it. You know, baby, and all that. it was a decent segment. It got the crowd pumped, and it was a